Alright, so it is Saturday, January 9th, 2016, first Q&A session of the year. So let's begin. Number one question, first question comes from Big Rod, and he asks, how do you deal with homesickness? So for me right now, I call my parents every single day. So I call my mom specifically and my grandmother every day at 6 o'clock. And I just talk with them, just ask how their day was, how my day was. So I believe overcoming homesickness is through great communication. At the same time, every once in a while, I would send a picture of anything like significant. If I have groceries, or if there was anything special with my day, a lot of imagery I believe helps. So like at the same time, my parents see a lot of videos of me, like me making my YouTube videos or me making my room tour videos. So that helps them. At the same time, they'll send some videos for me. And so I believe that is one of the best ways to deal with homesickness. At the same time, if you're on deployment where you're overseas, you can't really call your family. You can, but you have to pay for it, like on a payphone. At the same time, it's either by mail or snail mail. In regards to that, I don't really know yet. Once I get to that, then I can share with you my experience. And also, how does life differ from A school to fleet? From my experience, PT in A school was much more fun. Like there was Zumba, there was you would run around with your own command, like a little division, around like beautiful sceneries. Depending on where your A school is, there's going to be a lot of different activities. Like you would be in the gym with your whole division, whereas in the fleet, it's much more individual based. So like just do it on your own time. All right. And next question comes from Kid Hollywood, and he asks, what do you do on Sundays at boot camp? So on Sundays, you either shine your boots, write letters, clean your bunk, iron your clothes, you shower. So there's no limit to the shower time. So you could technically shower for an hour. Whereas when you are in like from Monday through Saturday, there's 15 minutes. Like you shower for 15 minutes and you're done. So on Sundays, you just kind of extend the shower where you can just kind of relax and just think about your day and all that kind of stuff. And also, there's no free time. A lot of people ask, like, can you sleep? Can you do this? Can you PT on your own? No, there is no free time. You can't do anything on your own. If you get caught sleeping, you're going to get punished. Okay. So on Sundays, which is it's kind of like free time, but there's like designated stuff you have to do. So it's not free time, but it's free time. So you can kind of still talk and communicate. At the same time, you have to make sure that you get things done. All right, so second question, next question comes from Goliiad, Goliiad, in regards to benefits to NJROTC going into the Navy. So NJROTC, from what I see, there are some individuals who did do NJROTC, and the only thing that I do notice is, they have, obviously, other than having some familiar transition from the NJROTC life to the actual military life, is the fact that you're just E3. You do get ranked up to E3, which does help, but other than that, there is no other benefits from what I can see. All right, so next question comes from Future Sailor Alvrarez in regards to, do I know anything about DC, so damage controlmen? I just know they do a lot of drills, so when I'm in the ship working, I do see a lot of I do see a couple of DCs, and they do a lot of training, they do a lot of maintenance in regards to like firefighting equipment, like biological, chemical warfare equipment, all that kind of stuff. They make sure everything is operational, and they do a lot of maintenance. So that's as far as I know about what they do. And next question comes from FSUXExcalibur. In regards to, would having a vehicle, a car, be useful in the Navy? So my answer to that personally is yes and a no. Yes, because so when you are in one base, right, there will be training facilities. There might be training facilities. For me, there are training facilities. But around your base, I believe there's going to be training facilities around you. Now, the Navy is going to provide some transportation in some form or another, or they might not at all. But as far as training opportunities, a lot of the training opportunities I see, people with vehicles are much more accessible to them. They have much more benefits in regards to getting one of the more desirable positions, desirable jobs. Because they have the freedom to go places to the workplace, they're first picked, right? Whereas a person without a vehicle can't really go there because the Navy doesn't provide transportation to that specific area. And also there are like a lot of information seminars, whether it's like financial management or, you know, how do you build your resume for a military veteran. It's going to be at different locations, and you can't, like the Navy doesn't provide that transportation, so you have to take it on your own. So it's either you buy your vehicle or you find a friend or you use like a Uber, taxi, or whatever. And also, like, if you want to do like certain medical procedures, like the Navy doesn't provide, the Navy provides, the Navy is going to pay to some degree or to a lot of degree, depending on what it is. like braces, they don't do, right? But if it's like, you know, some type of surgery, then, you know, you can use your TRICARE, which is the medical insurance. So that would need to be in a civilian hospital. Right, the Navy personnel, they don't do a lot of like surgery, operation type stuff. That they leave that to the civilian personnel. So you would need to go to a civilian hospital, and the Navy doesn't provide that transportation. And I know personally because I wanted to get something done, and they said no, we don't provide that transportation. You have to go on your own. So if I had a vehicle, it would be much more easier for me to just go instead of, you know, calling Uber, taxi, or whatever, all that kind of stuff. At the same time, I personally don't want to have a vehicle because I can't justify the cost to use it. For example, if it's like a $6,000 vehicle, I can't justify a $6,000 worth of use within the short time that I'm here. At the same time, it's a continuous investment. Like, you keep pouring money into it, and as far as like repairs, insurance. So you put more money into it while the vehicle depreciates. So for me to justify the amount of cost compared to the amount of use I'm going to get while I'm in within currently while I'm in service, I don't see the need for a vehicle. All right. So next question comes from Future Sailor Lay, in regards to, or I don't know how to say your name, Ley, in regards to enlisted to officer. So how do you go about this process? The links in the description down below into STA 21, and that is short for Seaman to Admiral 21. And you would need to, they have like an overview about the process, about the specific stuff. And if you want much more detail, that's their job to do, and they're the experts to ask. So I would recommend, if you are interested, contact them. And once you're in the Navy, you can also contact them, and they will be the point of contact if you want to go from enlisted to officer, and that's how you go about that process. Next question comes from Future Sailor or Sailor Deremer, 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 and I say Sailor Deremer because I feel like you kind of know something. And he said, do you get weekends off in the fleet like you do in A school? So I don't know how you know that A school you get weekends off. I'm going to assume that you're maybe a sailor. So anyway, do you get weekends off? Yes. But at the same time, if you have duty, which is you have to stand watch in the ship, then that's a no, because you spend the whole day in the ship, whether it be on a Saturday or Sunday. So there's a rotation period of like, you have different duty days. So yes and no. Yes, usually you get the weekends off. No, because sometimes when you have duty, you have to stand watch and you have to be in the ship all day, every day, right? So next question comes from Future Sailor King in regards to investment and stock. So I'm not an investor or know anything about investment. So my opinion on it is, invest your money in books and education, because the more valuable you are, the more money you earn. That is my own personal opinion. And I don't know who said this, but there's a quote, and it was a fool's money parts way fast. So if you are very smart, you're going to get a lot more money. So for example, if you're in a room with 100 people and they all have equal amounts of money, the smartest person in the room is going to have the most money, and the not so smart person in the room is going to have the least amount of money, and that is my opinion. All right, so next question comes from future sailor Edmonds in regards to, can you train in martial arts? So nothing is provided from the Navy. If you want to train in MMA or Taekwondo, karate, all that kind of stuff, you would have to do that on your own dime and on your own time. All right, so next question comes from future sailor Aleks in regards to outside school programs help with rank. So like when you are in school, if you do extracurricular activities in regards to Navy related, does it help you rank up fast? No, but if you do like NJROTC, Navy like junior, all that kind of programs, they do cap you at E3. And you do have to make sure, you have to contact your recruiter and get the full list. They have the full list of different curricular activities on which they accept, and then they put you in E3 right away. Like Squirrel Scouts, I think was one of them maybe. Yeah, check with your recruiter. But like, you don't want to be in an army, like a junior army boot camp, and then you join the Navy expecting you'll be like promoted, because the Army and the Navy are two separate branches, and they might not recognize each other's efforts and branch, all that kind of stuff. So make sure that whatever extracurricular activity you're doing when you're in school, make sure it correlates well with the Navy's list of accepted activities. So you would need to check with your recruiter. All right, so next question comes from future sailor J. And can you bring and wear your retainers at night in boot camp? And that's a yes. I do. I have seen a lot of people who have brought retainers or even dentures in boot camp. And do guys and girls get treated differently in boot camp and also in A school? In A school, it's pretty much the same, because all the instructors are there, and they kind of treat each other different. I mean, there are some favoritisms for boys or girls, so I mean for males or females, excuse me, here and there, but for the most part they are treated the same in A school. But in boot camp, however, it's not the fact that the girls get special treatments or guys get less harsh treatments. It depends on the recruit division commanders, the instructors. In my opinion, it solely depends on the RDCs. Like, some RDCs are really, really nasty. Some RDCs are really, really nice. Like, I personally got a really nice RDC. They took it easy. They just did the average standard. Like, if we did something wrong, we get punished for it, right? But there are some RDCs who will just, make an effort to bring you down mentally. They make an effort to make you cry. So that there are different types of RDCs. So your experience is going to depend on the RDC. All right, so next question comes, same person. And is it hard to take college classes online? So links down in the description of my Navy college video where I talked about college stuff while you're in the Navy. All right, and also, can you take classes from any university? Coming from the same person. It depends, because not all university will accept like students. So like if you want to apply for like the Ivy Leagues, just because you're a Navy veteran, Navy personnel, they're not going to accept you, right? But there are a lot of resources out there. So like for me, if you saw the room tour video, you have seen that I collect a lot of like newspapers and magazines. Like these are like 5 newspapers on all about related to Navy college stuff. And this is a book magazine of, I think it's like 100 colleges that accept Navy personnel or military personnel. And these are the different topics like beauty, business, healthcare, legal, skilled trades, and technology. So there's a lot of stuff, a lot of schools, a lot of well-known schools too. And that's the safe bets to apply. And So the resources are out there, and the process, to my knowledge, there are more in depth to the process, but just the overview of the process that I know is you need to talk to your the college people in the Navy. They have their own college office where they take care of the college paperwork, and I know you need to go there physically. So that's where if you have a vehicle, that would come in handy, because a person without a vehicle would need to get a ride from someone, or get a taxi or Uber and then go over there, which is a hassle. So you would need to go there, fill out some paperwork, and then you would need to get a course overview of what classes you're going to take, and you're going to make a detailed plan of action of how many classes you're going to take per semesters and all that kind of stuff. And then you would send that up, and then they would need to approve it, and then you get your tuition assistance, and then you can start your classes. So there's much more process to that, but I'm just from what I know, just a bird's eye view, that's just kind of the gist of the process. All right, so, and also, can you take classes? What about classes when you're on deployed? I'm not too sure about it. I would say you have to be really careful from, when you think you're about to be deployed, don't take, too many classes, don't take a lot of classes, or classes that might overlap on when you are deployed. At the same time, from what I know, from what I heard that people do, is you can talk to your professor or your instructor in your college course and ask them, hey, I'm a military personnel, I don't know where I'll be deployed, can I have the material in advance? Can I work in ahead? Because once I'm deployed, I can't really do anything about it, right? So I heard some professors are very good with that and very understanding of that, and they'll help you out, and some professors are not. So you want to have good communication with your professor, with your instructor. All right, so next question comes from Zylow, and asks, do you ever struggle with money? So personally, for me, no. But I know a lot of people who do, and they get paid much more than me. They're E3s and 4s and 5s, and they struggle with money. And I know someone who got out of the Navy because of medical reasons. At the same time, they've been in the Navy for 9 months, and they are in debt because they chose to spend much more money than they had. And I also know people who have $20 in their bank accounts, and they get paid more than me, right? And like I said before, a fool and a fool's money parts way fast. So if you want to take control of your finances, my best recommendation is read a lot of financial books and take courses in finances and get a strong grip of your finances. And like I said in my previous videos, I'm an E1, right? I don't mind being an E1. I should have been an E3, but I don't mind being an E1. And the reason why I love the fact that I'm an E1 is the fact that I am able to consistently each month save $1,000 as an E1. $1,000 easy each month. At the same time, buying a lot of things that I want, I personally like to get. If you ever saw my room tour video, you would see I have 7 protein powders. I don't really need protein powders, but I like protein powders because it helps me with my workout and and all that kind of stuff. And those are $20 each. That's $140 that I spend. So there's a lot of money that I can spend on my own things. At the same time, you saw my book collection. I have to spend $100 on books each month. So even with that, I am consistently able to save $1,000 each month, right? So as long as you educate yourself well and you invest your money in your own education, I don't see a problem with you struggling with money. All right, so second question comes from IMUCKO, IMUCKO? I don't know. All right, so when you graduate, are expenses of friends and family paid? So when you graduate boot camp, are the expenses like flights, hotels, expenses paid for by the Navy from your friends and family? And it's no. It's not covered. If your family and friends are coming out to see you on graduation, they pay that out of your own out of their pocket. All right, so next question comes from Future Stellar J again, and she asks, do you have to go to school to work your way up? So rank up, do you have to go to school? Not necessarily. If you're enlisted, you don't have to worry about that. As far as officers, I'm not too sure. I know I know a lot of enlisted people who are like chiefs and stuff that have like master's degree. I know a lot of officers, they might just have a bachelor's. You would need to check with STA 21 in regards to officers field, but in regards to enlisted, no, you don't need to really have like college degree to rank up really fast. It's all about, you know, how you take your tests and like how you perform at work and your extracurricular activities and all that kind of stuff. All right, and also does college credits transfer? From what I can see, I know a lot of like the senior chiefs and chiefs, they took classes from multiple different schools. So they didn't take classes from just one school. They took it from multiple different schools. So from what I can see, you know, they all piled it up and they all stacked. So I don't see a problem with being able to transfer college credits. At the same time, and can you study on a different major, or do you have to study with your specific rate? No, you can study whatever you want to study for college. All right, so next question comes from Future Sailor Godinez. And in regards to MA A school, do I know anything about it? The only thing I know about it is their A school is in San Antonio, Texas. All right, so next question comes from Future Sailor J again. And are there rates that guarantee deployments? So, no, there are no like rates that just like 100% guarantees all that, you know, they would go on deployments. There are rates that, you know, you are less likely to go on deployments. Like, for example, like honor guards. I don't know everything what they do, but I just know they do a lot of ceremonies for if there's like a presidential ceremony, or if there's like a funeral, or if there's like any Navy sponsored event. You know, honor guards are there. They're always training. So as far as like overseas time, you know, they don't really need to go on a ship and be in a ship, because honor guards, they just do a lot of like ceremonial work. So, you know, there's really no need for them to be there. I mean, there might be, I don't know. But like some rates, like for me, LSs, a lot of LSs are always deployed. Like LSs, they work in ships because they work in the storage rooms and mail rooms and all that kind of stuff. But there are some LSs that are overseas or over in the United States. Like, for example, I know this one guy, he's in Italy right now, and all he does is just work in the post office, and that's how his contract is. He's just in there for 4 years, and he just works in the post office, and then he just gets out. So, it depends. It really depends on your luck. But for the most part, each goal of a sailor, Navy sailor, is to be out at sea. That's what you're trained to do, is to be out at sea in the ship to work your job. So I would say you're not going to have a problem of not being deployed. You're going to be deployed, in my opinion, in some way or form, some way or another. And if you are not, you can always do what's called a TAD, temporary assigned duty, where you can volunteer yourself to be on a deployment. And I know a lot of people who have done that. So next question comes from Valhalla Musician. And in regards to, do I know anything about linguists and security clearance? And as far as linguists, I've only talked to one guy, and he's the linguist rate. And from what he told me, one of the things that they do is just look at many different countries' websites and then just kind of translate it into English. So that's kind of what linguist does. That's the only thing I know about them. At the same time, in regards to security clearance, I know one guy, he had a security clearance and there was a unknown debt. So like, for example, this is not what he did, but for example, if you ever take out like a $10,000 debt, $10,000 loan, and you purchased a car and you never told your recruiter or the Navy about it, and then when you have a security clearance, they find out, that they do research on you, and they're going to find out, and once they find out, your security clearance is gone because you have your debt, right? And once your security clearance is gone, your rate requires a security clearance, right? So your rate is gone, so they're going to put you in another rate, or once you're in boot camp, they might just ship you back home. So that is what I know about security clearance as far as that goes. And next question comes from Philip. And do you have to wear skivvies after you graduate boot camp? No, you don't have to wear skivvies when you graduate boot camp, but you should keep them for your dress whites, because your dress whites are kind of see-through. So like your trousers, your pants, you're going to see underwear, and then you want to wear white underwear, because if you're wearing like a hot pink underwear, they're going to see that, and you want to be wearing all white, because that's the purpose of all white uniform, right? And also you want to keep them because, and also you want to have like your own underwear, like, you know, a lot of people do. But when you are in deployment, a lot of people do steal like underwears. So like if you ever see someone, like when you have your underwear, people are going to steal it. And if you have your dress white, so that's like a backup pair. At the same time, if someone steals it and you see someone wearing your underwear, you can kind of say like, hey, that's my underwear. And they're going to say like, no, it's not, because, and then you're going to say, yes, it is, because my name's on there, because you put your name on your underwears when you're in boot camp. All right, so next question and last question comes from future sailor Marley, asking about life as an E1 and an E2 after A school. So when you're in the fleet, what is the life of E1 and E2 like? So one of the things that I can tell you, there's many different things, but one of the things that I can tell you is E1, E2, you're just used to work, right? They just put you to work. When you are E3, however, then it's kind of when the higher chain of command kind of make sure that you're taken care of and that you're in specific positions. Because when you're E3 and you're promoted to E4, if you're promoted, the more E3s to E4s you're promoted under, you know, your chain of command, the better your chain of command looks. But when you're E1 and you're E2, you have a long ways to go to become E3 to, you know, be promoted to E4. For example, let's say there's a chief, and, you know, let's say there's like, you know, 5 E3s and like 10 E1s, right? Just for example, the chief is going to pay more attention to the E3s. Why? Because it doesn't really matter about the E1s, because let's say E1, they all promoted, they all get bumped up to E2, you know, because, you know, once 9 months passed, everyone goes up to E2. But from E3 to E4, let's say there's 5, the more E3s bumped up to third class petty officer, the better the chief looks. So chief is going to spend more time focusing, making sure the E3s are taken care of, then the E1s, and then the E2s, which makes sense. All right, so that is the first Q&A session of the year. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any more questions, please leave it and save it for Monday's video, or if you just want a quick answer, leave it in the comment section below and I'll respond to you as soon as I can. And I hope you guys have a great Navy day.